Space has long been the most interesting topic for humanity. But there are no less amazing technical achievements in the world, which to some extent are starships from science fiction, but for other elements. Take, for example, nuclear-powered submarines. These floating reactors reach the ocean floor, float faster than surface ships, and are able to remain deep for months. But at the same time, nuclear submarines hold almost the record for the number of tragic events and crew deaths. 20 sailors died and as many were injured because of a release of poison gas submarines exactly 10 years ago, November 8, 2008, on the Pacific Fleet. Nuclear submarine K-152 Nerpa in the Sea of Japan triggered a system of fire extinguishing. After the sinking of the Kursk, this tragedy is the largest in terms of the number of victims in the modern history of the Russian submarine fleet. Watch this video to find out what happened and the results of the investigation. Do not forget to subscribe to the channel and thank me. Long-term construction. Submarines of the Shchuka-B project belong to the class of multipurpose nuclear submarines with predominantly torpedo armament. The decision to build them was taken in the late 1970s as a response to the active development in the US of Los Angeles-type submarines, which were distinguished by increased stealth. The lead boat, the Shark, was transferred to the Navy in December 1984, and 8 submarines of this type were built. The youngest of them, the Nerpa, was a problem child for the Navy from the very beginning. Launched in 1991 on the slipway of the Amur shipyard, ASC, the boat was planned to be built, tested and handed over to the Navy within 4 to 5 years. However, the collapse of the country, catastrophic cuts in defense spending and the privatization of the nuclear plant in 1992 almost buried the K-152 in its infancy. Having curtailed the nuclear shipbuilding program in the Far East, the boat was to be scrapped. The decision on its completion in October 1999 was made by the Prime Minister Vladimir Putin. The work on the Nerpa resumed, but was going slowly. The lack of financing and the loss of many valuable staff members in the wild 90s affected the situation. From the dead point, the situation shifted only in 2004, after the trip of Minister of Defense Sergei Ivanov to India. There, he signed an agreement to lease the K-152 for $650 million for 10 years. Experts ACS took up the cause, and June 24, 2006, lowered the Nerpa. The delivery of the nuclear submarine to the Indian Navy was planned for August 2007, but because of the complications, the date was pushed back to 2008, and then again. The accident of November 2008 was undoubtedly one of the main reasons for the postponement. As a result, the submarine didn't change its nationality until January 23, 2012. False fire. On October 31, 2008, Nerpa made her first dive in the Peter the Great Bay. 80 sailor submariners performed standard procedures of sea trials. 128 civilian specialists, mostly employees of Amur shipbuilding plant, watched live how their child behaves in the sea. The event was monitored from the large anti-submarine ship Admiral Tribets. On November 8, the crew of the K-152 was supposed to practice a training attack on it. But instead of the noise of opening torpedo tubes, the BPC heard a distress call. The details of what happened on Nerpa that fateful day are still classified as top secret. What is known for certain is that the emergency activation of the fire extinguishing system locks, boat chemical bulk system, took place on the decks of the second compartment, where the crew quarters of the Shchuka-B project boats are located. At the time, seafarers and ACP specialists who were not on watch were located there. As the investigation showed, the concentration of refrigerant in the crew compartment exceeded the maximum permissible level by 300 times. As a result, 20 people were killed, 3 servicemen and 17 civilians. Another 21 people received respiratory tract burns, asphyxiation, and frostbite. The boat urgently surfaced and all the victims were evacuated to the BMS Admiral Tribets. After that, the Nerpa made its way to the temporary deployment point in the town of Bolshoi Kaiman. The interagency investigative team soon named human error as the main version of the incident. The Military Investigative Directorate of the Investigative Committee of Russia in the Pacific Fleet initiated criminal proceedings under Article 352 of the Criminal Code, violation of driving and operating rules of a warship, resulting in the death of 2 or more persons by negligence. Contract Petty Officer Dmitry Grobov was considered the main suspect. Already on November 15, 2008, a number of mass media outlets, with reference to sources in the Investigative Committee of Russia, reported that the submariner, out of boredom, began to change the settings of the fire extinguishing system because he was told that it did not work. As a result, he allegedly set the temperature sensors too high. The computer interpreted the new inputs as the beginning of a fire in the compartment and activated the fire suppression system. In March 2011, the Military Prosecutor's Office of the Northern Fleet referred the case to the military court. The charges were brought against the bilge engineer Dmitry Grobov and the ship's commander, Captain First Rank Dmitry Lavrentiev. On April 25, a preliminary hearing was held, at which the court decided to consider the case with the participation of a jury. On June 22, the first hearing was held in closed session. On July 5, at the second hearing, Dmitry Grobov recanted his earlier testimony and pleaded not guilty. From September 2011 to September 2013, the jury acquitted the accused 3 times and twice received appeals from the prosecutor's office. On the third time, the military board ruled to leave the acquittal verdict unchanged and the complaint without satisfaction. Lavrentiev and Grobov were found not guilty. After Kursk. The exact cause of the unauthorized actuation of the firefighting system is still classified. However, it was reported as early as December 4, 2008, that instead of low-toxicity tetrafluorodibromoane, poisonous tetrachloroethylene was injected into the fire extinguishing system. The mixture was supplied by Servistord Technica, a St. Petersburg company, which was the first company a Mirsky shipbuilding plant worked with. Later, chemical analysis revealed that 64.4% of the Cladone mixture was tetrachloroethylene, which should not be used for firefighting. The flammable concentration of refrigerant is not lethal to humans. The worst that can happen on contact with it is loss of consciousness. Even if a sailor did activate the fire extinguishing system on purpose, it would not result in loss of life. The concentration of tetrachloroethylene was more than enough to kill 20 people and seriously poison just as many. There could have been more fatalities, but the spread of defective Cladone was quickly halted. It took 1.9 billion rubles to restore K-152, presumably due to the destruction of part of the ship's equipment by tetrachloroethylene, an active solvent. The fake fire extinguisher was replaced with a regular one, and the fire extinguishing system control algorithm was adjusted. We also carried out equipment inspection and retraining of the whole delivery team, which numbered about 200 people. The Nerpa accident was the most serious one in the submarine fleet since the Kursk and the first catastrophe on a Shchukaby submarine, which caused human casualties. Subscribe to the channel and share this video with your friends. Give it a thumbs up. Tell us interesting facts you know about the topic of this video. See you in new videos.